Here is how to answer a difficult MMI question. You are on your way to a very important final exam that will decide your GPA for the year. Minutes before leaving for your exam, you overhear a loud commotion coming from your neighbor's house. Your neighbor is an elderly gentleman in his 80s who has recently lost his wife. He does not have many friends or family members, and he rarely has visitors. You have, on occasion, kept him company in the park. His only true companion is his dog, Spuffy, who, he always reminds you, is his best friend. Upon investigation of the commotion, you discover that your neighbor's dog suffered an accident and seems to be in a lot of distress. What would you do, knowing that you have an exam to attend?
Okay, so thank you just for giving me the opportunity for this interview and for taking the time to listen to me. So this is quite a complicated case, in this case about having to check on your neighbor and his dog versus trying to get to your very important final exam. So just as a start, you would be worried not only about the immediate well-being of the dog, but also taking consideration that this does affect your neighbor as well. And long term, if something should happen to the dog, it's definitely going to take a toll on your neighbor's well-being, since he describes this dog as his only true companion. So you got to take that into consideration. It's about more than just you and your final exam or the dog specifically. So the first thing that I would try to do is just gather more information. I would probably walk over and knock on my neighbor's door, figure out what exactly happened just really quickly. And based on that information, decide what to do from there. I would try to find out what happened, like what was the sound of the commotion, what happened specifically to the dog, and if the neighbor as well, if they are okay or not. And then try to figure out the consequences of what happened. So, for example, if the dog had fallen, see if they can still walk properly, or if they are limping, if they sound like they are continuously in pain or not, and so forth. And then based on this information, we can respond accordingly. So if the dog is okay, and if it's just a simple thing of, oh, he fell off the couch, for example, or he knocked over a table, and the dog himself is okay, then I would just explain to my neighbor that I have a really important final exam to get to, and that as soon as I get back, I will check on him and help him to figure out if there's anything that we need to clean up or anything, as long as I'm leaving him in a safe position where there's no like broken glass or anything. If there was, I would try to clean it up very quickly for him and then leave any bigger cleaning up of any mess that was made later. If in fact the dog is not feeling super great, is potentially limping a little bit, then I would advise him to try to just leave the dog in a comfortable position and not get him to move around too much. I would still try to go to do my final exam after explaining it to him that this is really important and time sensitive for me. And then I would offer to take him and the dog to the vet as soon as I got back, as long as the dog is not suffering too much and is able to just lie in a comfortable position and tolerate that. And then finally, if it is really, really bad, I would try to potentially call a vet for him, or see if 911 potentially has services for this kind of thing, where they can connect you to an on-call vet that would be able to come see him, or would have someone able to come pick up the dog, for example. And again, I would just reiterate that as soon as I finish my exam, I will come back and check on my neighbor and his dog, or if he's not home and he's at the vet, I would drop by or call him, and I would just continuously offer him support while trying to also balance having done my final exam.
How did you feel about your answer for this particular question?
I thought it was okay. I was having trouble coming up with like 3 distinct if-thens. I felt like I had 2 strong ones, and then the third one, I was just like trying to fit something in there.
Yeah, which one did you feel wasn't as strong?
I don't remember. Maybe the third one. I think so. The worst one.
Yeah, you had the kind of the best case, the dog is actually okay or in a decent enough shape that you can go. Then the middle case, if the dog isn't super great, get it to kind of rest and you'll take it to the vet afterwards. And then the final one was to call a vet, an on-call vet that can come in, or even 911 if it's an emergency situation, to get someone to.
Yeah, I felt weird saying that because I don't know if 911 covers animals. But
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't know either, but
Yeah.
maybe the non-emergency number
okay.
might be more applicable, and definitely the police would come over and help out in that situation.
Okay.
And so, yeah, definitely those are some solutions, but let's kind of jump back. You addressed the main pressing issue. Of course, it is the dog and the neighbor, making sure that they're taken care of. You can even add in a mention of yourself as well, making sure that you still attend your final exam. The main thing that I think you could have expanded on for this answer is the information that you gathered. For the most part, you just wanted to kind of talk with the neighbor, figure out what happened, and do your own little assessment on the dog and how they're feeling. And I think you could have expanded your answer. And the reason is we want to show the interviewer that you're thinking of these alternative pathways as well. And this could have led you to have different if-thens, just because the first and the second if-then were a little bit too similar to me.
Yeah.
It was really, I'm going to write my exam and I'll come back. So what you could have asked, is there anyone around in the neighborhood that you can trust to come in and help them out, right? A neighbor, another neighbor, maybe one of your family members as well. Another thing that you could have potentially asked is, what are the policies around a makeup exam? You know, if you were aware of the policies, perhaps you could get a makeup for this particular exam. Once again, it really depends on the school. I know the school that I went to kind of gives you one freebie that you can take. So if you had that, you could potentially take that retake. But I think the neighbor one's definitely better, someone that could help the person. And of course, as you had mentioned throughout all of your if-thens, coming back and checking up afterwards. You were really good at doing that. So that is what I recommend to make that different if-then and really asking more questions in this case.
More videos will be coming your way to help you tackle every MMI question you will face during your med school interview. We can't wait to help you get accepted to your dream school.